and welcome into To Your Health. If you've been watching this series on To Your Health with Dr. Schmidt from the Herb Shop, what we want to be able to talk to people is the fact that one key term and one key word is coming to every one of our conversations, and that's liver. There is a liver in your body, and it's probably the hardest working thing in your body, and it can get overworked. Mm-hmm. And again, it can get tired too.
Right.
Absolutely. Carl Schmidt with the Herb Shop on Vaughan Road in Montgomery. Let's talk about this neat little guy in us called the liver. We have to have it.
We have to have the liver.
You can remove a kidney,
Mm-hmm.
you can remove a lung, you can't remove the liver.
Well, the liver can actually, you can remove part of it and it'll regenerate itself.
Yes,
so,
but not the whole.
Yes. So it's kind of, if you've seen me talk before very long, I talk about my mother. And when she was 92, just days before she turned 93, she was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. The doctor thought, maybe 8 weeks. And I got in touch with all my cousins, and we made plans for them to see her. And we thought, well, this is about it. And I said, but I'm going to do what I do with her.
Yeah, that's your job.
And I just took her on errands this morning, so she's alive and well and doing great. Mm-hmm. But her liver numbers at the time weren't that bad, and she had stage 4 liver cancer. So when a doctor says it's fine, it doesn't mean it's great, and it doesn't mean we need to look a little deeper. What was happening, she had been, years before that, her thyroid numbers would go up and down dramatically. And the thyroid produces T4 mostly, and our body needs T3. So the 4 has to get changed to a 3, and it does that in the liver. And so if it doesn't do that well, then the body asks for more T4 to be made. And so this relay of looking at a secondary mechanism, the liver mechanism of how the thyroid hormones are done, gave me a clue her liver was a problem. The reason she got the liver cancer was she had a hysterectomy and bled a lot during that process in the early 80s. And the blood transfusions
How old was she then? Probably in her 50s?
Yes.
Yes.
And so she had to have that hysterectomy, and the transfusion was with blood that had hepatitis. Oh. And then 20 years go by, and then her liver enzymes are in the 300 when normal is like 20. And they had to wait a year for her to get approved because the drug cost $80,000 for 12 pills.
Goodness.
And then it took a while. So then the damage of waiting set up the liver cancer. Then another decade goes by, and then bam, she wakes up with pain, and they find in x-rays and imaging the liver tumor. So one thing leads to another, but different things like the hepatitis were the origins of that she contracted from a blood bank for that hysterectomy. But people can casually get things, and then there's so many things in our world today, plastics and chemicals and toxins and sugar is a big enemy of the liver. And so our liver does thousands of functions that we're not really looking at from a medical standpoint. And so we need to be more aware at taking care of our liver. And some of the more common supplements are milk thistle or blessed thistle. These thistles, you think of weeds in your yard like dandelion, they're trying to send a root down to purge and clean the soil so that the other things can grow in a cleaner soil. And so I used to be a farmer once upon a time. So so I read this book on why the weeds were growing and what the soil needed, what it was trying to do for itself. Nature's very, very fascinating what it can do. So, but our liver, other things with the support the liver are called methylation or sulfur conjugation. And these may require supplements to get these phase 1 and phase 2 pathways to get spinning. I use an example of like a grandfather clock. If you really, my mother had one, and I would sometimes watch the wheels turn before it would chime and see how things would click in there. And that's what our liver is doing, all these processes, and then it's making something. And it may be making our neurotransmitter that we need to have a calm, peaceful thought about things versus being anxious. Or it may be things that our heart needs to regulate our pulse. Or it may be other things that affect our skin or our vision. The liver's doing all these things that we need for our body and organs to function on. And the symptom is what catches our attention, and we never reflect back to maybe it was our liver. And so seasonal annual cleansing of the liver does a lot to help it keep it fresh and viable to work well throughout the year.
And you've talked about the things that are the things we should not be doing. Sugar, obviously. Sugar is a big no-no.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a shame because we're addicted to sugar, it seems like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Keeping the sugar down, having a high fiber diet, good sources of protein, and minimizing those simple carbs.
Absolutely. And come into your store
Yes.
because at the Herb Shop, which is located on Vaughan Road here in Montgomery, in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center, they can actually do a series of tests. And one of them that's in that cadre of tests is the liver,
Right.
because it's most important. Well, thank you for your expertise.
Thank you.
And for letting our viewers know that basically you're responsible for your own body and take good care of it. It's the only one you've got. And we'll be right back right after this.